guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave Up here, and today we're going to be chatting over Skype with Canadian actress Michelle Morgan. You may know playing Lou Fleming on the TV show Heartland. Michelle, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you going?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad that even in amongst all the coronavirus, we can still have a chat fitted into your schedule.
Perfect. I love technology. It brings the world together.
It really does. Different sides of the world too, and different time zones. Now, since this is your first time on the show, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better and start from the beginning, if that's okay, to get a good idea of how you made it to where you are today. So when I was doing my research on you, you're the fourth of 6 children in your family, is that correct? Oh my goodness. How was it growing up as 6 children? That must have been a very loud household.
It was so loud, and I think that's some of my earliest memories was just trying to get attention, actually, and realizing, oh, if I stand up and say this funny thing or this cute thing, I get all this attention from my relatives and my cousins and my uncles and aunts. So that was some of my early days into performing was just trying to get attention, being in the middle.
Yeah, what were the age differences? Were you around the same age?
About 2.5 to 3 years apart. And then my youngest brother was 6 years later. So he was the baby for all of us. Like, we all raised him like a baby. And I was 9 when he was born. So I remember vividly, like, waking up at night, rocking him back to sleep, changing his diapers. He was my, like, little living doll.
Well, your parents were obviously very happy to have all the kids as, like, free babysitters.
It was great. It worked out really well, actually.
That's fantastic. Where did your dream of, becoming an actress come from? Because, I'm sure all your siblings have gone for different jobs. And did your parents agree with this career choice?
They do now. There was a long time where my dad was encouraging me to go to law school, and he said, you're an actor, you'd be a great lawyer, right? Like, trying to get me something more sensible, which, that's what dads are for. But I got into it originally because, thank goodness, I went to schools, public schools, that had performances, So they'd say everyone can have a role in this little play. And some of the first plays I did was like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, or, we did all these British farces and things like that in high school. And I would just go into it for fun. But I found myself, when the time came to perform, just something turned on in me, like something switched on, and I was like, I really want to do this. And when the audience would laugh, I'd be like, oh, that worked. I'm going to do more of that. And something really worked for me, and I got a lot of positive feedback early on with performing, and I thought, okay, I get this.
So were there any other careers that you wanted to pursue when you were younger as well, or this was the dream?
This has been the dream since I was 16, but I did go through a period where I went to theater school, graduated, was going to lots of auditions, waitressing. And I thought, well, I'm also very interested in politics and in Latin America. And I helped my friend make a documentary about Latin America. So I thought I might be a journalist. And I applied to the University of British Columbia in Canada to do a master's in journalism. And I got accepted.
Congrats.
Wow, applying to do a master's is a lot of work. And I made the application, got accepted. And then I sat down and really thought it out. And I thought, I'm going to give myself one more year to really try this acting thing. And in that year, I booked Heartland.
There you go. It was all meant to be. The universe had different plans for you.
I guess so.
And over your career, you've been in shows like The Good Doctor and Supernatural, and just recently Batwoman, really cool. But something I wanted to bring up was back in 2008, and it was in the zombie horror film Diary of the Dead. How was your experience being in a scary film? Because that's very different from the other roles you've played.
Yeah, it was amazing, because that was my first lead in a film. And it was with the cult director George A. Romero, he invented the zombie genre. He created Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and all the first zombie films. So to have that as my first, because I was a fan of his, so to have that as my first job was a big deal to me. I was over the moon. He was fantastic to work with. He was wonderful. And the truth is like, I'm a baby. I can't watch horror films.
Me either.
I can't, right? I just, my imagination is too vivid, and it'll keep me up at night. but being in a horror film is not as scary. I've heard stories about some films that were creepy to be part of filming, but no, that wasn't the case here, because you'd be standing at the snack counter with the zombie chatting, like, eating muffins, and then action and like running away from them. So it wasn't so bad.
That's a lot of fun, it sounds like.
It was fun.
And we know a lot of Heartland fans are listening today, so we have to talk about Heartland. It's only obvious, right? But let's bring you back to the beginning of the show. How did you come across Heartland? Was the role of Lou just something that you immediately were interested in? Yeah,
you get so many auditions as an actor, and sometimes you're like, oh, this is interesting, and sometimes you're like, this is amazing, I really love this. And as soon as I read the description for Lou, she didn't look like me, because it always described them. It said she was a petite blonde.
I have never read the book, so...
In the book, she was a petite blonde, so that's what it said for the casting description. But the way they talked about her, she's the older sister, she's, it said something about her energy, and she's come back from New York, and I thought, okay, this character I get, and then when I read the lines, I was like, it just, something clicked.
And obviously they saw it as well.
I guess so, yeah. But I felt it. It's funny, like when I did the audition, I felt it. I was like, yeah, that one worked. Because sometimes you do it and you're like, well, I did my best. We'll see. Leave it to the gods. I did my best. But with that one, I was like, okay, that one worked. And so I'm glad that the producers thought so too.
And was it later on that they, brought in Amber and kind of had a, audition for you guys in your chemistry? Because you guys really act like sisters. It's amazing.
I know. And I kind of feel like we have a sisterly bond now after all these years. Like, I would call it more like a sisterly bond than like a friendship bond. We're not like best friends, but like we call each other when we're worried about something, or when there's something we want to talk through, or, we've got some big news, we call each other. So we didn't have any time for that. They cast the pilot very last minute, and Amber, same story. I don't know if you've spoken to Amber, right?
Yes, I have, yeah. And Graham.
Yeah, so Amber will tell you the same story. It was all cast very last minute, so I didn't meet or talk to anyone till I arrived on set to film.
Oh my goodness. So it was meant to be, since you guys had such a great connection. And you'd expect that after 13, 14 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just know everyone like a family now. You probably spend more time with them than your actual family.
Not anymore. I mean, we used to do 18 episodes, and so that was the case then. But these days, the past few seasons, we've been doing shorter seasons, like 12 episodes, 10 episodes. So now the season goes by too quickly.
Which us fans, we want more. We want like 18, 20,
They should write to CBC, write an email to CBC, say, we want 18 episodes.
There you go. I'm sure enough fans are listening today. Let's get those letters in.
Write them a quick email.
And have you always personally been a fan of horses? Did you learn to ride on set or beforehand?
I have always been a fan of horses. My family, I come from a family of ranchers in Chile. My great-grandfather had a ranch, and so I would go on our holidays to Chile, and we would always horseback ride. But I never was like a jumper, or like I never pursued it as a sport. So when I got to Heartland, I thought, oh yeah, I can ride. But then I learned like really riding is a whole other thing. I spent a lot of time with the wranglers, like the cowboys and the cowgirls on the show, cow women. I'm just practicing with them and watching them and working with them, and I feel so much more confident on a horse now after all these years. I love it. I love getting up on a horse, and it's a challenge every time though, because it's one thing to ride a horse, it's another thing to ride a horse on a set with cameras and flags and lights and things that can spook the horse, and sometimes it does, right? So it's different filming. It's different being on a set with a horse. And how was it then when we see Lou doing some jumping? Did you have to learn that for that role, or did you have a stunt double? Or I trained for that, and I did some training. But they don't want you to do a lot of the actual jumping on the set because they're worried if you fall off, then they have to halt production. As a main, you don't want that. No, so they let me do a little bit, and of course they let me ride, but they prefer to have stunt doubles for anything, like any big jumping. We don't need you breaking a leg. And it's like that with any sport. If you watch a show about snowboarders or skateboarders, they'll always have a stunt double for the dangerous thing because they can't risk losing their main actor to a broken leg.
And I think they do a really good job because, you know, you don't even notice. You're like, yep, there's Michelle Morgan doing her thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do some of it.
Yeah, exactly. And Heartland has become the longest running 1-hour TV drama in Canadian history. Congratulations to you guys. And since you have been doing this for 13, 14 years, which I'm sure must get quite repetitive, like anything when you do it for that long. And I have spoken to Graham and Amber about this as well, so I thought I definitely want to ask you, how do you keep it fresh and interesting and fun for yourself after so many years for playing Lou?
Well, the good thing is every script is different. And I think, like, I remember after season 5, I really felt like I needed like a jump. And I started working with an acting coach, like a new acting coach, to help me find new ways into the material. And that, for me, really helped me. And I feel like my performance in season 6 was really good because of her. And I mean, you're always just, like, you have to keep it fun. And you have to keep it fun on set so that you're always looking forward to going to set. You're always looking forward to seeing your friends. And if you keep the energy fun and uplifting behind the scenes, it'll feed into what's happening on set. Like, I think when it starts to become a drag to go to work, if you don't want to be there and you're tired, that feeds into your performance. So I think just keeping it fun. But honestly, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like, oh, this is the same old thing, because every script is new. Every script has new ideas. I'm always excited to go to work.
That's good. And as I've heard from the other guys, that it is all really fun offset as well. And, you know, Graham was saying Sean, who plays Grandpa Jack, you know, he sometimes brings out the guitar and does a bit of jamming, and that's really nice.
And with the crew as well, too. They're like family to us, a lot of the crew. So it is a really fun energy behind the scenes.
Because a lot of the crew has been from day one, right?
A lot of them are, yeah. I mean, it can get stressful. Sometimes we're running late, and or there's like a snowstorm, or it's freezing cold or something like that, or it's really, really hot. So it can be hard, but we like to keep it fun and light as much as possible.
Yeah, as I've noticed, there's been less and less outdoor shots now, and I'm like, okay, yep, they've probably gotten sick of the cold or the heat outside.
Oh, yeah. The winter, yeah, and when it gets too cold. The scene where Lou gets married, they almost had to cancel that whole scene because it was minus 40 degrees Celsius. Do you use Celsius in Australia?
Yeah, that's really cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusually cold for Calgary. And they said, why don't we move that scene that's outside the church with you and Grandpa? Let's move it to the kitchen in Heartland. And I said, no, it has to be in front of the church. And I begged them. And they kept it in front of the church.
That's good. Hopefully the heater was cranking in the car.
It was. But, you know, for the poor crew, the people who have to run around and with the cameras, they weren't in the car, right? But they can dress really warm. I mean, it was hard for them, I think, though.
Yeah, that's probably why they wanted to move it for them. The poor crew. Yeah. It ended up being a great scene, so I'm glad they didn't get rid of it. It would have made a difference if you did move it. And if you ever had any trouble memorizing your lines for the show, because, you know, Lou definitely says some deep things.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes there are days where if you're tired or if you haven't slept well, that the words just coming. But memorizing lines has never been a big problem for me. Yeah, I can read a script like 2 or 3 times. I mean, I usually read it at least 3 times, and I'll pretty much have. And the thing is you only do about 10 pages a day, 8 to 10 pages a day. So it's manageable.
So who do you think screws up their lines the most?
My goodness. That's a good question. Probably Nathaniel Arcand, Scott. And the person who probably like takes the most time and the most takes to get the lines right is Sean Johnson. Not because he forgets them, but because he's a perfectionist. So he wants it perfect. So everyone will be like, oh, that was good, great, moving on. And he'll be like, nope, I want to do it again. Well,
that's good, because his scenes are always like the best in terms of his dialogue, so it needs to be perfect.
Yeah, he likes it perfect.
And speaking of Scott before, Lou has been with several guys throughout the show. Who did you hope that she'd be with, you know, for a long period of time? Obviously, she was with Peter for a while, but when reading the scripts, you know, I know a lot of us for a while, wanted you to end up with Scott.
That's funny. Yeah, the truth is I've been so lucky because Nathaniel, who plays Scott, was my first boyfriend. He's lovely. We're good friends. Like, we're really good friends. He's lovely. Gabriel Hogan, who plays my husband, or now ex-husband, he's also lovely and hilarious. And then Kevin McGarry, who plays Mitch, who is Lou's current boyfriend, he's just great. Like, so they're all wonderful people. We get along great. I can't pick one of them because I feel like that would be like betraying the other two. So I feel like it's for me to pick which one. I think they're all great. And honestly, if I were to show up on set or read the first script and find out, oh, I'm with Scott, I'd be happy. They're all just great. So that's sort of dodging the question, but they really are just wonderful people to act with. And I think it could be interesting to see Lou with any of them. So
yeah, well, they all hold a little space in Lou's heart, don't they?
I think that's cool. And I was sad when Lou got divorced, I'll be honest. Yeah, it was a difficult year for me, like performing. What season was that? I get them mixed up, like 8 or 9, but I get them mixed up. But I struggled in that season because it was sad. It was hard.
Especially when you were with him for quite a while in the show.
Yeah, we've been together for a long time in the show. So that was difficult, but I think it was interesting because they wanted to have a realistic divorce on TV that was amicable in the end. The producer both came from divorcees, and they felt like it was important for kids out there who watch the show who have separated families to see a healthy version of that on TV. They don't feel like, oh, why did my mom and dad break up? To see a reflection of that happening on TV in a healthy way.
Yeah, it's definitely a healthy way because they're still talking, they're still co-parenting. It's a great way to show it on TV, yeah. And I have just recently read on your Facebook that they have renewed it for season 14. Woohoo!
I've known for months, but we couldn't announce it. I've known for so long, but they were like, shh, don't. So I was able to announce it. Yay.
Congrats, guys, and we are very excited to watch it when you guys are, safe enough to film, which should hopefully be soon, or who knows.
Yeah, we don't know yet. Hopefully this summer.
Yeah. Ooh, fingers crossed. And with over 15 years of experience acting, in 2018 you founded Medano Films. Is that how you pronounce it?
Well, it's actually like a TH sound, Medano. That's how you say it in Spanish, Medano.
Oh, I like it. So you're now working as a writer and a director. Yeah. So before coronavirus, were you working on this when you weren't in the filming of Heartland?
Yeah, I've been developing a script for a while that I am hoping to get made. But funnily enough, it's about a pandemic, I kid you not, and I've been working on it for a long time. So that's kind of on the back burner. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to writing more and directing more as soon as is safely possible.
Did you ever have to work on, these projects during the filming as well? Because I've always wondered that when your character Lou went away for her book tour a lot.
Yeah, I have. So last summer, two seasons ago, I shot a short film while doing Heartland in Tofino, BC, which is on the island, Vancouver Island, and it's a surfing film, and so it was hard because I would have to come home on the weekend, go out to Tofino, prepping it, and I found it hard to do while filming. So I prefer to do I can develop things while I'm filming, but actually film them once the Heartland season's wrapped because it was too much. I have a family and my kids and the husband. And that's a big commitment right there. So to add to that Heartland and this other thing, it was too much.
Yeah. And where did the name Medano come from?
It's actually my grandfather's ranch.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nice.
It means something like the sandy place or sand, but yeah, so our ranch in Chile is called Medano.
Oh, that's really great. Give it a little bit of a shout out to him in your new works. I love that.
Yeah. Great grandfather. Did I say grandfather? Great grandfather.
Oh, great grandfather. You said grandfather, but that's good. And how did you find starting it out as a director? Have you been picking up tips from all the other directors you've worked with over the years?
I haven't. I've shadowed them. I've definitely spent lots of time watching other directors, talking with them, asking questions. I've done some training. I did a program here called Women in the Director's Chair, which happens with the Whistler Film Festival. And then, you just, eventually, though, with directing, you just have to do it. So I've done a couple short films and a web series, and and you just have to just jump in at some point.
And did you find in the beginning, did you have to use like some of your own money to fund it, or did you get sponsors to help you out?
A little bit. Like my first short film, I did crowdfunding. But I did put a bit of my own money in as well. And for my next one, no. But I mean, it's best not to use too much of your own money unless you're going to do something really low budget and just do it. A lot of people shoot things on their iPhones or whatever. Sure, do that. But I wouldn't suggest people put like all their savings into making a film. Because the thing with independent film is that it's good as a calling card and to show people and to prove your work and to practice, but independent film doesn't have a huge return. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to like see that money back, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, that's good advice for everyone as well. And you have also directed 3 episodes of the new CBC digital series Hudson, which is a spin-off of Heartland. How was your experience filming those episodes, especially with being with Heartland for so long?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was a really young, fun, new crew, and a really young, new cast as well. Madison, who plays Jade, was our lead. And she's just fantastic. She's one of the most talented actresses. And then we cast some new characters, and I was involved with every step of it from its inception and casting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I wish we could do more. So we'll see. Fingers crossed on that too.
Fingers crossed. Did you find also being in Heartland that it helped you with directing this series?
Yes, yeah, because we were keeping it in the same world, in the same tone, and so that was like second nature to me. What's this tone? What's the feel? Because a lot of when you're creating something new, a lot of time and energy and headspace is around like, what is the tone? What kind of film are we making? Is this a comedy? What's our genre? Like what? Because there's different tones and feels of acting, of pace, of storytelling. So sometimes you'll watch a show and you'll see almost that different actors are in a different genre. Have you ever seen something like that where it's just not clicking and it's like they're doing something really broad and they're doing something more grounded? So that's kind of the director's job, is to keep everyone in the same world, and the showrunners and the writers.
Yeah, especially when you already know, the town of Hudson in the show. Yeah. It helps. Yeah. And as you mentioned before, you're also married with 2 children, a boy and a girl. You really hit the jackpot there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, they're lovely. Here, for you. I spent with the kids when they were little. You see it? It's right there.
How do you juggle, all this in your career with your family and still having a bit of a personal life and social life? Do you, actually have any time management tips for our listeners, especially if they're working mums?
No, I don't, because I'm terrible with time management. But I'm lucky that I have a very supportive husband who works from home. So when I'm working on Heartland and I'm very busy, he really steps in as a more active parent. Always, though, also had childcare. Like, I've never lived near my parents, unfortunately, which is so sad. But so we've always had a nanny ever since the kids were born. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be possible to do what I do. I don't have a nanny right now. For the first time, like, since my kids were born, this whole quarantine time, we haven't had a nanny. And it's been actually great, but it's been hard, like running a household and making 3 meals a day. It's so much work.
Still making time for this interview. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And even though you've already achieved so much in your career, Michelle, what else can we expect from you in the future?
Well, I'm hoping to direct more. And so I'm working on writing a few projects, and I'm, writing is a really exciting new journey for me, so I'm hoping I can write and direct a film one day soon.
Fingers crossed. Looks like you've already got some amazing projects out, so people will just want to keep working with you, hopefully.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And do you have any advice for our listeners today who might want to follow their dreams of becoming an actor or even a director?
Well, I think if people are very serious about it, they need to do the work. They need to study, and they need to take it seriously, because I think a lot of people want to get into acting and they think it's about looks or it's about just confidence, but it's a skill and it's something that you need to train for and you need to really think about and seriously, because you might luck out with confidence and looks and get one job, but that won't carry through to a whole career. You have to take it seriously. So I guess my advice is if people feel passionate about it and they feel like this is something they want to try, they should look for some training in their area, and not like they should look for training that's real training for actors, not just like, it's not modeling. This is acting, right? It's serious. So they should look for some training, and they should start trying to create things with their friends. Go do a play, make a little short film with your buddies, start doing it, thinking up ideas, being creative. Look for people who are doing things you're interested in. And I would really suggest that people take training seriously, because an acting career is long, and at some point you may not feel so confident, or you might get old and you might feel like you don't have those same looks that you used to have or something. But if you have that training, that's where your confidence comes from, and you can have a very long, wonderful career. But it's not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of dedication.
You gotta have a bit of thick skin too for some rejection.
You get so much criticism, and everybody thinks they can critique acting, and so you get a lot of critiques, and you just have to take what you want and kind of brush the rest off.
Which has obviously made you a much stronger woman as well when it comes to that.
I'm not strong, but my mom is.
You fooled us again. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing an amazing job, and we cannot wait to watch season 14 of Heartland as well.
Thank you. I can't wait to make season 14. I'm so looking forward to it.
You can see that I'm excited. I've watched every single episode, and even like in our family too, it's gone like 3 generations, because my grandma watches it, my mom watches it, and I do. It's so beautiful.
What's your grandma and your mom's name?
Myrtle and Debbie.
Hi, Myrtle. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for watching.
Oh, they will love that. Thank you. And we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, Michelle. But as a closing statement, and what's probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Oh, my goodness. You actually warned me about this, and I still didn't. Let me think. Gosh, there's so many things, but let me just pick a few. The most important thing I would tell her is to not take things so seriously, and to not take things personally, because there was so many good things in my life when I was 14. There were so many lovely friends and my family and so many opportunities. But I think when I was 14, I tended to focus on the things that weren't working, the people at school who weren't my friends, the things that I didn't have, the hair that I didn't have, or the clothes, or I was always focused on my lack rather than what I had. So I would tell myself to try to just be grateful, be more in the present, and stop thinking about what I didn't have, and just be grateful for what I did have. I could have enjoyed myself a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can all relate to that a little bit.
Oh my gosh, when you're 14, I know school's hard. You got to do the work, and you got to put your nose to the grindstone, but you should also just be having fun and enjoying life. You don't have jobs, you don't have bills. You should just be enjoying your life when you're a teenager, and having fun and doing sports and getting fresh air and just enjoying good friendships.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Hopefully all the 14-year-olds listening take that on board as well. Yeah. Hopefully you've changed some people's lives today.
Wow. That'd be great.
And before we go, if the listeners would like to contact you, Michelle, or find out what you're up to in the future, where should they go? Where should we follow you?
They can go to my Instagram page, which is @MichelleMorgan_. That's a great way to follow what I'm up to, what I'm doing. And they can also go check out my website, which is MedanoFilms. Oh my gosh, is it com or net? I always forget. Here it is. It's .com. MedanoFilms.com.
Funny, I visited it, but I didn't obviously memorize the URL. But there you go. .com, guys. And thank you so much for coming on the show today, Michelle. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great afternoon.
I sure will. And I'd love to have you on again in the future. You're welcome on anytime. Hopefully next time we can have a chat in person. After all the restrictions are lifted, Do you have any plans of coming to Australia in the future?
I would love to. I have good friends who spend a lot of time there. We surf. My husband's a big surfer, so I would love to.
Yes, come to our beaches. Let me know when you do that in the future.
For sure. I will.
Love to meet you in person. We can have another girl chat.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Well, we'll keep in contact and we'll make it happen.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks everyone for listening.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, visit our website, raveituptv.com. All the podcasts and videos are there for you to enjoy. But for now, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye!